Okay guys, so today we are going to be looking at how to create a new project with the nestjs framework, basically for backend developers. So if you are a backend developer and this is the first time you are just coming to this channel, I will please kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn off the notification button. So before you create a project, you have to, with the nestjs framework, using the nestjs, so you are going to create a folder. Now, how do you do this? So you will navigate to your VS Code. So I'm assuming that you have your VS Code already installed. Okay. So you have your VS Code already installed, so you have to create a new project using the nestjs. So you navigate to File, Open Folder, you create, let me just give it this any name, say new project, new projects, backend. Yeah, let me just call it backend. So now if you hit on, you open that, then you open it with your VS Code, then you open your terminal. Your network has to be on. So once you open your terminal, you go to, if you are using PowerShell, or you are using, in this course I will be using git bash. So I have to open my git bash. Then my network is kind of slow. Okay. So when that is open, I have to, this is a command I will use to generate a new project when I'm using it. So in this case, you have to already install your nestjs CLI in your laptop. So we assume you can do that by going to nestjs documentation. You can do that by going to the nestjs documentation and on how to do that. So you go to your overview, they will show you how you can do that. You have to install the nestjs CLI, and this is the step we are going to do. I have already done this, so I'm not going to do this. So this is what we are going to do here. We have to create. So using this step, I have to come back to my VS Code terminal and type nest new. Then now look, following this, I'm supposed to nest new and the name of the project. This is the name of the project. Now for the year, we are assuming that we already have the name of the project already. Here is backend project. So there are actually two ways to do this. So since I've already declared the name of the project, I don't have to type in another backend like this again. If I type in this, I'm going to have another folder that will be generated by this nestjs CLI. But I don't want to do that, so I can just use dots. So this dot means that this project should have the name of this folder. The project that we want to generate here should have the name of this folder, which is backend. So once you do that, we hit on the enter key and you leave it to run. So this might actually take some time. So you are going to you can pause the video and come back when it starts running. So you have your the npm yarn, and so we are going to be using npm on this. So we hit on enter, and so as you can see, the packages have started installing, and you can see this nestjs have generated some boilerplate for us, which is the source file is also here, you can see, and it's still installing the node module at this point. It is what is installing now is the node module. So this might actually take a while depending on your internet. So we pause the video and come back. So if you see this on your screen, that means the installation was successful. Installation in progress, successful, created a new project. Get started with the following command. You can cd to the project directory and running npm run start. So we are already in the project directory. In this case, we can just do npm run start and npm run start, and you see your project will be running. There are actually two ways you can do this. You can see the project is running now. So because we are already in the project directory, which is the back end, so the project is running now. And just close it and clean up the terminal. So another way you can do this is, if you don't want to generate the new project using your VS Code, like the one I just did now, you can actually navigate to your desktop and use this open git bash here. So for example, let me say I'm having a new folder. Let me say new. So I have to navigate to where I just the folder I just created. Then I right click on it and you click on open git bash. So once you open your git bash, so this is another way you can do it. So once you open your git bash, so you have this. So you are at this point now. So you run the same command nest new, and at this point you are not using dots because you want to actually name the project, give a project name here. You are not going to use new p. So you cannot say backend project. So once you hit this, a prompt that either you use npm or you use yarn. So you are going to use npm here. So you can see the project start generating again. So this is actually a different way you can generate your project. Either you do it directly with using your VS Code, or you use the git bash to do it. So it is left for which one you want to use. So we will now wait for this project to finish installing, but just a simple way of showing you how you can actually generate your new project using different ways. So let's continue. Okay, so we'll have to go back to our VS Code here and continue. So as you can see, we have a lot of files and folder. You can see automatically we have our node module generated here for us. We have our source file that has all this. We have our source folder here that comes with all these files, add controller spec, add controller tiers, and all that. We have our add services, add modules here. That is in the source folder or source directory. So we have our tests. You can read this up. We have a package.json. You can open it, and our package.json, we have some dependency already. That is our nestjs, commons, and platform express is already there. So so you can read this up. We have our ts.config file here, which is very, very important. This very important, as you can see. So this generates everything for us that we need for this project. So let me go to the main.ts. Now the main.ts, is the entry point to our project. So you can see we have, if you have been using Express very well, you understand what is going on here. So we have our nest factory. Our nest factory is imported from nestjs core. So you can see from this packet here, we have our nestjs here. So our our nest factory is imported from there, and it has this create method that takes in parameter of the add module. This add module that we are talking about here, this is the add module, which is here. So this create is taking in a parameter which is add module here. Yes, let me just bring out my screen so that you see what I'm talking about. So this is the app module, and these are main.ts. So we have to say everything has been in this app variable now. So we now say app.listing. So you can actually play with this. If you understand your SQL very well. You can also do console.log maybe server running. Yeah, you can do that. So if you go back to your npm run start, so you have that server start, you have the server now running. So this is a function, a bootstrap function. This can be any name actually. It's not a must that it has to be a bootstrap. So we have to call the function here. We all know that before a function can run, we have to call it. So we call the function here, and everything is good. So as you can see, our code is now running. You can see we are starting our next application. App module dependency has been initialized and all that. So we have this console.log here, we have, which is here now. So you can actually play with this and do some changes on your own. So let's proceed. Stop the server running, and we navigate to where we have. So what we actually want to do today is we want to create a new users that will actually make use of our endpoint. So we have to create an endpoint to create new users and get those users from the database. So we'll be using on this, we are going to be using a MongoDB on this. So we have to navigate to our package.json. As you can see, we have to install MongoDB npm for our nestjs. You can see everything is here. Go to your nestjs, you come to, yes, you click on Mongoose. So you come to your techniques here, you click on Mongoose. You can see you can read this up. nestjs supports two methods of integration with MongoDB database. You can either use the built-in type array module described here, or you can use which has a connector for MongoDB, or use a Mongoose, the most popular MongoDB object. So we are going to use this. So we are going to import, we are going to install this guy here. So if you look at our dependency, currently we don't have any MongoDB here. So once we hit this and wait a minute, we can see that our dependency will be installing. Our MongoDB dependency will start installing, and so we are started installing. So we have that. So while it's installing, we navigate to. Now if you look at this, we have this app controller, app module, app services. We are not going to be using this file. I don't know why am I having this error. So of this. So I think I'm having issue. I think this issue might be coming because of my network. So I will just run the npm install again so that this error will go away. So I think the installing our Mongols, so we can see from our package.json our Mongo is installed. So we navigate to close this. So since we are not going to be using the app controllers page, we are going to delete it. Yes, and we are not going to be using the app controller. We delete it. We are going to be using this app module, so we leave it here. So we don't need app services, we delete it. Okay, that's fine. So right now if you go to the app module, you have some error if you are following this video very well. So you remove this and you remove this as well, because you're not going to be using it. So once you remove it, the code is fine, everything is fine, there is no error. So what you need to do now is you have to generate a new user folder using the nestjs CLI. So how do we do that? You just come to your terminal. First of all, let me clean this up. So you type nest. If you notice nestg, and this is going to be nestg module and followed by users. Now if you notice, when we are generating our new project, we use new year, but in this case we are generating that it is not a new project, we are generating some modules. So we are using nestg. This G stands for generate, so you can either type generate or you can just leave it to be G. So the nestjs will understand that you want to generate a new model for user. And another one I want to point out is that since here we say users, so it is not advisable to say users module. Yes, because nestjs, but once you put the users, nestjs already understand that you want to create a user module because of this module here. So what you need to do is just say nestg module, then user, then you hit enter. So once you hit enter, it will start installing and generating that module for you. So you can see we just finished generating our module. Then if you navigate to the source directory, you will see a new folder here, which is with the name users, and he has created a new file for us here, users.module. Now now look at it, user module. He has given you users module. Now in that case, if you have put user module here, you would have get something like user module, which is not really proper. So nestjs already understand that you want to create a user module. So once you put this user, it's going to give you user module here. Okay, so if you go to your app module right now, you see that we have a new import here, which is an array of modules. So because this app module is like the root modules, so every other module will be automatically being imported here. So since we have currently we have 1, user module, and which is imported here. So you have to understand this relationship, this correlation between these modules and these modules here. So let's proceed. So we have generated the module for users. So we are going to generate a controller. So we are nestjs controller. Now look at, I just say controller, space users. Understand? And there are things involved. If you don't want, let me just hit enter. So once you hit enter, you will generate a user controller for you, which you can use for your project. So you can see just finished generating it. You have, if you go to your user folder, your user directory, you will have a user controller and user module here. Now, the beauty aspect, if you go to user module here, you will see that the user controller is automatically imported for us. So Nest understand and helps us to fasten this thing for us. So what we need to do again is to generate service, user service. So we just say user, Nest generate service users, and we hit enter. So once we hit enter, it will generate a new user module for us, user service. So this is user service, and you can see if you go to your, this is the user service. Yep. So this is the user service that has this injectable decorator. And if you go to your user module, the user service is a provider, and it has automatically been imported by the nestjs CLI. So okay, so we now have a user directory or user folder which we can start working on. So at this point, if you say nest user npm run start, so our project will run. Yes. Okay. Our project will run, and so how do we know? You will see some green, some things will be displayed on our terminal here, so that to indicate that our project is running fine. So that is just that. Okay, so we have nestjs application app module, this user module, dependency initialize, user controller, and that's all. Okay, so another thing I want to also stress out is, if I don't have to be, each time I make changes, I don't have to be coming to my terminal to restart my terminal before to update my changes. So nestjs provides that that flexibility where you can just do npm. Now look at this. If you go to your package.json file, you on the script. Okay, so we have npm run start is for what? Just to start your next project. So if you do npm run start, you are going to start your next project in a wash mode. So if you come back to your terminal, it's npm run start dev. So we are starting our project right now in a wash mode, and this means that you don't need to be coming to your terminal to rerun your terminal for your project to be updated. So I think this is a good practice for us. So if you have been using Express, in Express we normally do node mon in Express, but here it's npm nestjs has taken care of all those things because it's just for you to run it. Okay, and in Express you have to import it. You have to import your node mon and you have to install it at the same time and before you can use it. But nestjs, it comes with it automatically, so you can see the beauty of nestjs right now. So let's start. So now we have our file ready. So we have to create a schema that will be holding the user information. So what we'll do is you navigate to your folder directory, user folder directory, and the user directory, and create a new file here called schema. Some person normally use module. Module is still the same thing. Modern is still the same thing, but I prefer using schema. It's the name of the folder, and the folder file. The name of the file is going to be user.schema.ts. So you can see the extension for all our file is ending with ts. That is TypeScript. So because we are using TypeScript, so all right. So you declare all your. This is how you declare. How do you want your database to look at? You are going to know your user has to have an email. User have to have first name, last name, and as well password. So you declare it here. You say okay, export class user. Okay. Now you say first name, which is going to be a string. We say last name, which is going to be a string as well. We say email. I think we will just stop with this. Can put username, email, which is going to be a string, and pass username. Let me say username. Let me take out that username, which is also going to be a string. Okay, and password, which is a string as well. So, but if you leave it this way, MongoDB cannot be able to interact with this. So you have to define the schema type here. Schema. You can see the schema here is imported from nestjs Mongo. So you can just hit that and do that. Now, if you leave this like this, you are in the database. You are going to create a table. You want to create a table for this field here, which is the first name, last name, email, username, and password. So the MongoDB will not actually understand this. So you have to introduce what is called prompt. So this prompt, you can see we are importing it from nestjs as the same thing. So this will help to generate a table for these fields. And see, so if you have been using MongoDB, you understand this is different from the case of Postgres. If you are using Postgres, you are going to use column. So okay, so you can actually pass in some condition here. Say type. For now, we just leave it to. You can just say type, which is string, and required. You can say true, depending on what you want. So for now, we will just leave. Let's just say okay, everything is required. Last name is required, email is required, username is required. Okay, password is required as well. So all these fields are actually required. I don't want to require this. I don't want this last name to be required. Yes. So you can use the default value here and say should be none since it is not required. Then you can put this optional, this question mark here, it means optional. So last name is actually not required, it is not compulsory. So we move, you can see once we hit on our terminal and we start running immediately for us. We don't need to like do all the things we are doing before. So this is beautiful. So we have to declare our user schema. So by doing this, we say export cons user schema is equal to next schema factory. So you can see this is schema factory dot. So once you hit, so it is double create. So how do I know this at what to put there? I'll just come here and say okay, I'll just over on create for class. So create for class now is taking in, is expected one argument but got 0. So you will just look at the what is looking for. So it's looking for the target, which is, so the target in this case is going to be our user we declare here, the class that we user class that we declare here. So once you put that, we hit the we start running again. So another beautiful thing about nestjs is that you can actually introduce timestamp here. So which is timestamp is going to be true. Our timestamp is going to be true. So this will automatically set, you set date for each user. The time the user sign up, you will automatically give put in the date as well there, and the updated as well. So hope you guys are good. If you have any error, you can just look at your code again and see if we are on the same page. Like mine is running, there is no error, so mean that we are good. So we have defined the user table and the schema and how we look at. So we have to like create our .env here. You can see beautiful. You have to create our .env, very important because we don't want to expose some information. But here I'm going to be using localhost DB for MongoDB. So if you haven't installed MongoDB on your VS Code, you can just navigate to where you have extension. Yes, extension, and type Mongoose. Once you type Mongoose, my network is bad, I think so. Type Mongoose, it will give you options where you can install your MongoDB in your VS Code. So mine, I have installed here, you can see, and I think we'll just come back and do this later because of network. So once I click on this, so once you install that, you will have this logo here, MongoDB. So once you click on this, you can see I'll just right click here because it's not connected for now. So I will just copy the connection string and go back to my env and paste it. So yeah, I just say back, and I just give a DB name, backend DB. So this backend DB is the name of the database, and the name of the database, yes. If you really understand how MongoDB operates, MongoDB is a step of database and database collection and document. So we have our database here, which is backend DB, and the collection. If you go to your user schema, the name of our collection is going to be users. So the MongoDB will automatically transform this as the collection is going to be users. So users, so you can see MongoDB will automatically add S to the user here we have here. So the collection is going to be users. So we are going to have something like backend DB. The collection is going to be users, and the document. Yep, the document. So just read up, you understand this. The document are the same thing as the objects. Now let me tell you what I mean by that. The document are the same thing as object because the information will be stored in a MongoDB as an object. So in the form of document, which is object there. So when we get there, I will show you again. So let's proceed. So we have our code is now running fine. So we have okay. What we want to do now is to connect our MongoDB to our nestjs project, because right now our nestjs project does not understand or cannot communicate with the MongoDB we just installed our database. So we have to communicate. What is going on? We have to communicate it so that you will know what is going on. So we go to our app module, and you can see we have installed here. So we have to install our MongoDB module as well. So once you come here, you just type in Mongo. So it will tell you MongoDB, yep, and you can see. So when you do MongoDB, you say dots. So here you say dot for root. This is actually for root, and this for root, because you can use for root actually. Yes, this will be fine. So some extent, this will be fine. So this will be fine. So if you hover on this for root here, you see. Let me remove this so that you see what I'm saying. If you hover on for root, you have that is expecting 1 to 2 argument, but got 0. So what is it expecting? It's expecting the string, which is the MongoDB string here, which is the which we define in here. Understand? So MongoDB Mongo URL. Yes, we will define here. So you can actually copy this. If you don't want to stress yourself, you can just copy this and come here and this. So you can see the error is add. But this is not the best practice. So we'll not be using this best practice. We are not going to be using this. So we are going to, you see, our code is running fine. So you can just do this and leave. But we are going to be using our env file. We are going to be importing those values from our env file. And nestjs has, apart from using .env, yes, so you can actually import another npm that nestjs provide for us, which is config services. So we navigate to the config services is what we actually help us to interact with our .env file. So we go to our nestjs documentation. We look at okay, I think we should be on techniques, and we go to configuration, and you can just navigate to here. You look at installation. We have to install this. So when you install this, you have to do some things. This is how you can use it to talk to your env file here. So just read about it. So we have that we have to stop our terminal, doing Ctrl+C, and so we import that. So if you come to our package.json, you see that our config services is being imported at the moment. So let's give it a little time because of network. So okay, if your import successful, you have this on your terminal display. That's fine. So we'll just clean up the terminal. Now if you go back to your package.json file, you will see that we have successfully installed, yes, our nestjs config here, the one we just installed here as a dependency as well. So we navigate back to this. So we navigate back to this, and we have to import the config module on the app.js. So how do you do that? You just say config module, config. So we can see, so we have config module that is imported from nestjs. Here is nestjs config here. So you just click on it. So everything here is for root. So for root, and you can see for root here is telling you is expecting option, which is config module here. So you can just say it's global, and it's global is equal to true. So that takes care of that for us. So because we want to talk with our env file here, we are not going to use for root. We are going to use for root as syn. So this will enable us to talk to our MongoDB env. So we just pass in this here and use factory. Can use factory here. And this is a function, a syn function that will take in. Okay, syn function that will take in the config that we are working on. I will take in this config service as a parameter. Config service, yes, as a parameter here, and it's an arrow function. Yes, you can see. So what is expecting here is the URL. So you can see we have config.get, which is there, and so if you open this, you get something that is, you say is expecting a string, which is the pathway, which is the string, the pathway of our MongoDB URL. So we just have to go back to our this and copy this and come back to our MongoDB and paste this here. So at this point, you can decide to use this. If you don't want to use this, it's not compulsory. You can decide to use string, or you can decide to just leave it. So you will not have any error. So I like using it. So if For example, if you go back to your env file, you know that it is a string. So if I wanted to like import a number, so I would have changed this place to number here. So that is not all. We also have to inject our config service here. Yes, so our config service will be injected. Don't inject config module because you are going to have an error. So you inject your config service, and at this point it's telling you that, look at what I'm just use. I don't want to. You don't need to cram this. You just look at the. It will just give you a clue of what you want to do. So it's telling you that the type of config service is missing the following property from type any array. So you know that with this array here, it's telling you that this guy is supposed to be an array. So once you put that, you no longer have an error again. So let's just run our code, npm run start, and see if we are going to have any error. So we wait. This video is almost an hour now. So if you understand this, I think yes, our code has started running. So let's see if we are going to have any error. Okay. Right now our code is running fine. You can look at it. We have some other thing that has been equals. We have starting nestjs for application app module dependency initialized. So you can see the mongoose module dependency initialized, user module dependency initialized, config host module dependency initialized. Okay, config module. Okay, mongoose core dependency. You can see all these things have been initialized for us. So our code is running fine. So if you have any error at this point, just look at your code and see. Just go back and video and watch to see where you did not get it right. So everything is fine, right? Yeah. Yes, everything is fine right here. So we proceed. Okay, we have this now. So right now we have to talk to our user controller. So we open our user controller. As you can see, nestjs have already given us the route of the controller, which is user here. So we have to understand what's in here, what is going on here. So first of all, you display your constructor here, and you pass in what is called private user service, yep, which is uptype user service, yep. Okay, let me add users here. Okay, private user service uptype user service, meaning this means that this user service is now holding everything from this user service file that is coming in from this user service file, which is here. We are going to look at it very soon. So we are going to look at it very soon. So you can just write, you can just declare here. Let's just declare here and see what is going on here. So we have a thing, say get test. So we have to import this here. So we are importing this get So I know you'll be wondering what is get. Get is the HTTP vet that we use. We have post, we get, put, and delete. So we are actually using this to get all the users. We can use it to get users, all users, and get things from the database. Just use it to fetch things from the database. So that is. So you can as well put in this text, anything. So you can decide to leave it. You can decide to leave this blank. It will still work, but it's advisable to just so that if you have more than one gate, you actually know, because this is your routing, yes, on this endpoint. So this is just like you say you want to go to, like for example, if I want to put this as test, so this will become something like localhost like 3,000. Am I on 3,000? Let me see. Okay, 3,000, yes. Localhost like 3,000. So we are users / test. So this is the routing now. This 3,000 users / test here, which is here. So if I remove this guy here, meaning if I want to access this route, it's not going to be possible, so I have to remove this test. So what if there is more than one gate here, and here is test 2. So yeah, if I want to access this guy now, what if I want to access this endpoint? So that is the beauty aspect of putting in the routing here, which is very, very important. Okay, just say test. Okay, hope you understand that. So we can just, at this point, we can just return code is. Let me just console or run something. No, you don't want. You can now return. You can now return code is. My code is running fine now. So I go back to this. So I can go to my, what do you mean? I can go to my browser and type localhost 3,000 users like this, and I'll have that. As you can see. So my code is running fine, which is something I put here. So we are going to be using this a lot. You should understand how it works. So let's proceed to creating users in our database. So currently we don't have any users in our database, so we have to create that endpoint here, which is post. So we are going to be using this HTTP there, post. So this will just be create. Let me create user here. User create and I think create user, which is now this is, let me make this understand. This is like you are creating, you want to create user, you want to create something, you want to send something to the database, you want to send new items to the database, so you use post. So and this right here again, so for you to get to this one, you have to use user / create. So we are going to have some input fee here, which is going to be a string. Okay, so we cannot leave it there for now. We say okay, we say return await this dot user services dot create. So this is going to take in input. So you can see this input here is what we are putting in. So this is a function. This is a function. This create user here is a function. It's not a must that it has to be create user. So it can be anything. So the naming conversion is very, very important in using your backend server, so that if someone else wants to look at your code, you just easily navigate and make some changes. So create user is a function or a method that you want to use to create a new user in the database using this endpoint here. Okay. So we are having our nestjs is screening right now that the property create does not exist on the type user service. So we have to navigate to our user service and do some things, write some logics there. So I think create. Now we just created. Now look at what happened here. We have create here. So when you come to your user services, you have to say have create here. So very important. If you have create arrow, you see you have another this thing start screening here. So the name has to be the same. And so if over and this, it will tell you it's actually expecting one argument, which is the input field. Yes, this is a string. So with that you can see we don't have any, our code is not running fine because we have provided the argument here. So you do some stuff with that and say constant, no, fine. Before then you have to like just do some stuff and say return input, yep, return input. This will run, but at this point we are not actually talking to our repository. So the repository is your database. It's how you talk to your database. So you have to do the connection. So by introducing what is called constructor here, here is going to be, since you are using MongoDB, here is going to be inject. So we look at here, we have inject, we have inject table, we have inject connection, inject module. So we are using inject module here, injector and so on. So we click on inject module here and it's a decorator, inject module decorator, and so it's expecting the module, which is the connection name. Understand? So connection name we know with this user here dot name. So you see, so we are now talking to this our schema user here dot name. So which is user. So we say private user module of type module from nestjs, taking in user. So you can see we don't have any, we are going to have a error, but currently we don't have any problem. So now if you go back to our terminal, we are expected to see some our code is going to screen, and we are going to fix that in a minute. So let's use that before we return. Let's use that. So what this means is that Nest can resolve dependency of user service. Please make sure that the argument user module add index 0 is available in user model. So user model dependency, blah blah blah. So it is what Nest is trying to tell you is that you have to print this guy here. yes. So you have to come here and import. So what we have here is mongoose, which is dots. Now how will I know that? How will I know? The last time we used for roots, which was for this. The year we are not using for root, we are using for futures, which is for futures. And you can see for futures is taking in the model which is here, which we define here. The user model here we define here. So is expecting that. And how will I know what to do? Is model definition, which is an array. So I'm going to start this. I'm going to start that parameter with an array first. So once I start with an array, I know it's going to be an array of an object. So once I have the array of an object, I know I'm going to have a name that will take in user dot name, comma. So it's expecting, you can see from here, it's expecting what? It's expecting our schema as well. So we are going to say user schema. I hope I have user schema here. Let me check if I don't. Yes, I have user schema now. So okay. So it's expecting our user schema, which is okay. I have to type schema here, which is user schema. Yep, user schema. So if you do that very well, you can see our code will start running fine without error at this point. So if your code is not running, you just look at now you can fix that and everything will be fine. So you can see our code is running fine right now. There is no error. So we go back to our user services. I will want to talk to our this service has almost more than 1 hour right now. So I want to talk to our model. So user model, and we have to come here right now. And okay, so if you look at our user service, what's it called, user table, we have first name, last name, email, username, and that. So what I do, we have to create what is called a DTO, which is a data transfer object for this user. So we have to create, you go to where your folder directory, you create a new folder called DTO. So when you create a new folder called DTO, you navigate and create a new file, which is create user dot, can actually be anything, .dto, .ts. So the name of this name can actually be anything. So sorry about that. So I have to now, if you normally I read somewhere where nestjs is telling us that we can actually use interface here as well, but using interface is not actually the best practice. So we prefer using class because of some transformation that may occur during responding those information during your response, because when you want to get the response, there are things that happen between converting those information that is coming from your database, which is an object, to JSON object notation, which is JSON JavaScript object notation. So they expect us to use a class here, which is create user DTO, can be anything. So you can see I have to export that class so that I'll be able to use it in another place. So I just paste what I copy from there. I have to remove this guy. I have to remove this guy. I have to remove this guy. I have to remove this guy and this. So you can see, and we have to go back to our controller. Now our controller, initially we have a string here, so we are not going to be using that again. We're going to introduce our user DTO here, and okay, we are going to introduce a body decorator, okay, because we want to actually input some things, okay. So we move back to our user service, and our code is telling us that this is a stream. So we have to create this here. So if you do that, you can see we are no longer having error. So we know what to do there. So I will just destructure. Let me show you one thing. Destructure those information, which is first name, last name, username, email, and password equals to what? Equals to input. Yep. Now, so we have to start talking. So I'll actually use try catch. If you want to just, it's very, very important to use try catch. So console.log error. Okay. So we move down to here. We say constant user equals to await this dot user memory dot find, because we want to create a user, find one, email. Now let me show you what is happening here. So before we create a user, we actually we are saying, okay, go to the database, find the user with this email, which is this email that we'll put. No, we have email in our database. Email key. So we have email, and we are saying, okay, go into the database, find one user with this email address here, which is this one is here. So supposing I did not destructure this value here, I would have used the input dot email, right? So you can actually do it any way you want to do. So just use email right here and move on. So this thing is just like go into the database, find one user with this email. Okay. So we now say if the user exists, if there's a user with this same email that user wants to use to register, throw new HTTP error, which is user already exists, which is HTTP's unprocessable entity. So you can see, so user already exists. Now there's one thing I also want to introduce here. I want to see I don't want people to sign up with two different persons to have the same username. So I have to also put that into consideration here. So it's going to be like this. Let me not remove this guy and introduce. Yep. So yeah, it's going to be email. Yeah, this is going to be email, which is email here, comma, another. So email, comma, another email, another username, okay, which is username. So we are having error here. What is this? Okay, this is supposed to be in an array. So once you put this, so this will actually look for a user with the same email or username. So if there's already that same username in the database, you throw an error. But for you to be explicit enough, just have to remove this guy and say, okay, if the user.email equals email, throw new HTTP user with some email already exists. Okay, and throw the error code, which is unprocessable entity. So this unprocessable entity is just like 422. So it's either you use 422 here or you can just use this. I like using this because I don't need to be cramming all those error code. So we declare another one that is for email. So what if the email is not there but the username is there? So we now say if user.username equals to username. Okay, throw new HTTP error user would send email already exists. Okay, we got status code unprocessable entity. Okay, so what if the username and the email exist at the same time? So we are going to say, okay, if user.email equals to email and user.username equals to username, throw new HTTP exception. User would email and username. No. Email user would same email and username already exists. So you HTTP status code. Okay, unprocessable entity. Okay, now I want to, if you look at our code now, our code will be running fine, but this condition is correct actually, but the positioning is not correct. Now what I'm trying to tell you is that if if there is a user with this condition, if there is a user that has the same email that already exists in the database, the condition will be true and this code will stop here. If there is a user that uses a different email address, but the username that the user is using is already in the database, this condition will be true and the code will stop here. So if the email and the username the user is using already exists in the database, this code will never get to this point. It is not possible. So imagine, it means that if the email already exists, that code will stop here. If the username will already exist, it will stop here. There is no way this code can get to this point. So what will you do as a developer here? You just cut this guy and bring it to the top. That's all. So with this, you know that these two conditions must be true for this code to stop running here. If it's not true, it's going to check this. If this is not true, it's going to check this. Then if all these conditions is not true, so let's proceed with creating a new user. Constant new user equals to await this dot user module dot create. So at this point I'm going to input all these properties here, which is first name, last name, username, password, email, and sometimes email. Okay, so that's all. Password is okay, and with that will create a new user and then you return a new user. That will be true. Now so we have to say if on the cache block we say if the error is instead of HTTP, throw error else do what? Throw internal server error, internal server exception, which is server error. Yep, I think I know that. Throw new internal. Okay. So if this is true, if this means if this error, we have HTTP error here. So if this error is instead of any of this error, so we should throw the error else. You mean if it's not this and there's error, that means the error is going to be a server error at that point. So we are good with this. So we can navigate to. We can start testing things right now and see. Yep. So I think that is that we are good. So we go to we look at our this. Go to we are running on this. So we go to our terminal. We look some. So we go to our Postman. We are going to be using Postman on this. So we navigate to this and we can see this is all our web HTTP webs. So we have get pros. So we are using pros on localhost. I want to use this Jenkins localhost. Let me go to my controller. User. So this is going to be user. Localhost. We are on localhost 3000. So users. We are users here, and create. So we now have to navigate to this body here. So we navigate to body, we are at none. So we have to click on the raw. So when you click on the raw, some of you may not actually have this in JSON. So you have to change this to JSON here and input your value. So that is just that. So what we have here will be email. This is going to be savior@gmail.com. First name is going to be Savior. Remember we said the last name is actually optional, so we can actually make it optional, which is Savior Philip. That's the only thing that can come into my mind right now. So username, we are going to use Bartlett. Password, we are going to use 1234. Okay, so I think that is all. We make a post request right now to this endpoint and see what we have. Okay, cool. So if everything is working fine from your end, so you can see we have a response here, and yes, meaning that our code is working fine. So now if you navigate to our database, this is our database. We click, so we have, what was the name of our database? Yeah, so we have backend DB. So if you navigate to users, which is now look at what I was saying. This is the stages. This is the DB database name. Here is the collection. So users is the collections. So you navigate to the collection, and here now is our document. So database name, collection, and document. So this document is what is just like is an object. It's an object. So you can see we have this here. So our code is running fine. You can as well now if you want to send this again, you're going to have an error. User will send email and username already exists. So what if I change the username? I've changed the username, added one. So we are going to have user will send email, no username. User will send email already exists. So what if I change the email and still use the same username? So we are going to have user will send email already exists. Okay, let me check something. Okay. That is not supposed to be so. Yeah, that our condition did not mean well. Let me check. We are still having user with the same email. So let's check. Okay. User with the same email, blah blah blah. Okay. Let's see. Let's remove this guy first. Let's see. But I'm not sure if that could be the case. Okay. So let's see. Let's see if we can remove this from that bracket and see if we still have an error. So we have okay, user with the same. Okay, God, I was using the same email here. Look at what I was doing. So we say this is the same thing. So I would have changed this place to user with the same username. My response was not correct. The code was actually correct before, so you can see, you can leave it this way, or you can leave it the other way. Still, you will still run. The two will still run. So it depends on what you want to do. So that is, so we test that. Okay, our server is running now. So we'll go back to our this and say. So we now say user with the same username already exists now, because the username already exists, but the email does not exist. So if I have the same email, we'll have user with same email and username already exists. So I want to remove this last name because we make it optional there, and we put in new email and new username, and we run. So we still have, it was successfully. So you can see username here is none, and everything is working fine. So that is that for how to create a new user in using nestjs framework on the backend project. I hope this video makes sense and you have learned one or two things. So please do wait to support me by clicking on the subscribe button and turning on your notifications so that next time we post you'll get notified. So thank you guys, thanks for watching. See you in our next video. Bye.